She's the author of, what is it, nine-time bestselling?
900.
I can't keep track of them all.
I think it's 8.
8?
This
8,
one is
9? No, let's have her correct
demonic.
this. Here's her new book, Demonic. She's joining
Hi,
us,
Annie.
as she has done over the past few weeks here on Fox and Friends. Ann, great to see you this morning.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So obviously we're in the dog days of summer right now, and I don't know if the
How many
media...
times are you going to say that today?
Well, and people are just waking up every 15 minutes, so I like to remind them that we're in the dog days of summer right now. The mainstream media seems obsessed with what's going on with Michelle Bachmann and Rick Perry these days. You argue, though, that the mainstream media didn't give the same attention to Barack Obama back in 2008. What's going on here?
Well, it happens with all Democrats, but it is particularly striking after all of the love showered on Obama. I mean, they couldn't find videotapes for sale in the lobby of Trinity United Church of Chicago until fairly late in the campaign. Finally, ABC goes in and buys a copy of it. Meanwhile, you know, the New Yorker has this massive piece on Michelle Bachmann that traces her ancestors back to 1861 to see if they really settled in Iowa, or was it actually near Iowa. Does anyone to this day know what Obama's relatives were doing and where they were in 1861? That's the sort of scrutiny for a presidential candidate. And I love Michelle Bachmann. I don't think you can run from the House. So it's kind of an odd candidate to be so fixated on.
All right, I want to ask you about those not yet in the field. Some talk this week that Paul Ryan might get in after his conversation with Chris Christie. I know he's your guy. He's not getting in. Sarah Palin, Karl Rove said he thinks she will run and announce over Labor Day weekend in Iowa. If either gets in, who makes the bigger impact?
That's a good question. I think neither will make a huge impact, as huge as Rick Perry. Oh, and by the way, speaking of media vetting, there's a huge ad in an Austin newspaper asking for anyone who's had sex with Rick Perry. Can we get the ad to find, you know, Obama's cocaine dealer now that he's 2 years into his presidency? But as for Palin and Ryan, again, Ryan, I think he's like Bachmann, a fantastic candidate, but he's from the House, and I think it's a little irresponsible for people to keep pushing Ryan. We haven't had a House member become president since James Garfield, and, you know, he had some executive experience having been, I don't know, a lieutenant general in the Civil War. And Palin, I think she's, I mean, we'll see. She obviously has huge supporters, but, I mean, we already have Bachmann in the race.
You holding out for Christie, Ann?
Why, yes, I am. And actually, I love Rick Perry. He's doing a fantastic job, this Rick Perry. You always want to wait to see them out there in running for president for a month. Almost all these candidates over time, and back to Jack Kemp, they're all talked about. They look great on paper. Let's see how they are on the campaign trail. But so far, this Rick Perry's holding up, and he has a tremendous record.
Holding out for Chris Christie. It's like, it reminds me of the girl at the prom who won't say yes to the other men who ask her. She's waiting for the one guy to come in and ask her.
Oh, Chris.
Exactly.
Oh, Chris, will you please ask me? Well, let's talk about this story.
I think
this
America wants a nice... Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry.
No, we really want to hear what you had to say.
We're going to talk about this Verizon story and get your take on it, because it appears the strike is over. But that didn't stop all these union workers, though, from busing themselves to the CEO's home for this big protest there. You know, it's not a public figure, as Governor Huckabee talked about yesterday. Now they're being investigated by the feds for cutting wires and sabotaging people's phones. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, well, my book is on a 200-year history of mobs, and as I describe in my book, these home protests are done all the time by liberals. They did it to Bank of America employees, Acorn and SEIU, down in Washington. A little teenage boy trapped in his parents' home. His parents aren't even there. It's frightening. It's animalistic. It's intended to be terroristic. You had it being done just last month out in Wisconsin at the homes of Republican legislators and governors. And though you should read my book, the conclusion is how you deal with mobs. They're bursting out all over the globe right now, in Greece, Vancouver, Wisconsin, London. You cannot mollify a mob. You can't calm a mob. You can't appease a mob. Think of mobs as Hitler. You have to smash the mob. And these home invasions, I think, are particularly frightening. And, I mean, imagine it, just these animals all over your home, trampling on your gardens, frightening your children. These are people's homes. Only liberals would do this, and I have several examples in my book.
A bit over the line. Ann Coulter up early in Los Angeles after that Kardashian wedding. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it, Ann.
Thanks, Ann.
Thanks. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Ann.